It's interesting when we see Matthew chapter 26, if you read from verses 6 through 14, it records the stories of two different people. One is the woman who pours out this very expensive perfume on Jesus's feet, and the people around her, especially Judas, he tells, he asks Jesus, why is she wasting such an expensive perfume? Why is it not sold and the money used for another good thing, right? But Jesus said, let her be, she's doing this, she's doing a good thing. And whatever she's doing, it will be remembered throughout generations, okay? So this lady represents people who are willing to lay down everything, whatever they consider expensive in this world. It might be their riches, their career, their ambitions, relationships even, they're willing to forego some of the very expensive things that are considered expensive in this world. They're willing to lay it down at Jesus's feet, okay? And Jesus promised that, your work will be remembered. He tells her specifically that, wherever the resurrection story is spoken, this lady's deeds will be also remembered, okay? But there's another group of people who represents Judas. Judas, on the other hand, even though he was not giving anything expensive to Jesus, what he was doing was he was using Jesus to get money, okay? So you see that immediately after Jesus, after the Bible records the parable of this lady, it immediately records the parable, the story of Judas. Immediately he goes and tells the Pharisees, how much money are you willing to give me if I surrender Jesus to you? Okay, so this represents another group of people who do not really value Jesus in their lives, who are willing to, part with money rather than with Christ. And this story clearly shows us the difference. Jesus promised this lady that her deeds will be remembered for eternity, whereas this other guy, we've seen what happened to Judas, right? He basically, the money that he gets from betraying Jesus will not be useful for him in any way, but it actually leads to his destruction. Okay, so this parable here, the story of this lady and Judas should also, teach us that, what we need to value more in this life. Is it the riches and the expensive things that we consider in this world? Or do we consider Jesus to be more, worthy than all these other things? That's why Jesus says, you cannot serve both God and money together. Thank you.